Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which we discover how to speak correctly so that no one gets injured. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Yes, everyone, hello. Welcome to Saturday. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an S word. What's a good S word for Saturday? Sonorous Saturday. Sure, because we're going to be talking about sounds. Sounds like words. Words that identify oneself. I guess. I don't know. We'll find out together. But who is here to join me for this, I don't know, legendary linguistic legerdemain? That would be one Sort of Satania. Hello, Random American. Hello, Peter Limberg. Hello, Kiever Dam. Hello, Asian Hippie. Hello, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Hello, Quinn the Cultist. Hello, Swirl Blue. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Seftus Wolf. Hello, Dina B. Hello, Brittany Holland. Hello, and then chat jump because of course it did. Adabisi. Hello, Zalbla. Hello, Nobody Not Me. Hello. Who's next? Corey Suzuki, hello. Chicago Mike, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Keenan, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Big Father Ent, hello. Mike Savage, Blarg. Tux Mint, hello. Jake Tungsteth, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Non-Vitae Rex, hello. Mr. Tickle Trunk, thank you so much for the dancing Dog Cat Fox. Oh, Dog Cat Fox. You like that, don't you, Dog Cat Fox? Wowie, wow, wow. That's right. Dog Cat Fox likes that. Let's see. Black Belt for Christ, hello. Jordan Herbert, hello. Luke Skywalker 2, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. Raul Aguilar, hello. And chat jumped again. Pinkal, the Driving Gate Man, thank you so much. We are listening from the road. Still have 4 hours left on this drive. We might go live after your show. We don't know yet. Well, have a safe trip and hope everything goes well on your journey. Programming note, there's a possibility, given scheduling and everything, that next week I may have blind press on for a duo TEDXcellence. But stay tuned for that. Green Death, hello. J2020, hello. Robert Pincus, hello. Gear PG, hello. Spittle Buggies, hello. Debate Fly, hello. This is Kyle, thank you so much. Hello, chat people and scribbles. Hello, Kyle. Blind Press, hello. Gunfox61, hello. And Gear PG, thank you so much for the Dog Cat Fox, my hero. Oh, Dog Cat Fox. Eric Kai, hello. Richo8181, hello. All right, everyone. Well, what is on the docket for today? Well, I saw this one, and being an English major, such as I am, I couldn't help but be curious, because we're going to be exploring flexible language and self-identification. Exploring flexible language in self-identification. Yes, I was thinking about this today. How do I define myself? What do I define myself by? Is it the things that I do or the things that I think? Am I just a brain floating in a machine and running around, just doing things and saying things? Does it mean anything? Am I worthy of attention or of any note by anyone for any reason? I don't know. Maybe our speaker will help me figure that out today. Maybe our speaker will help me figure out how to best characterize who I am with the words I use. That being said, get your bingo cards ready. Link is in the description. I have a feeling this is going to be a full card today. I just have a feeling. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. Probably wrong. But let's find out. All right. As usual, I'll start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
I am a linguist.
Okay, you are a linguist. There's a joke in there. There's a James Bond reference from, I think it was GoldenEye. Was it GoldenEye? Yeah, the opening scene in GoldenEye, where Moneypenny makes a cute joke. But anyway, sounds good, says Asian Hippie. Dina B says, yes, J2020. Yes, there's that there. But this is a family show, at least for the moment, so I'm not going to say that. Maybe later.
Linguists study language.
Yes.
And we do this in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Some linguists study how we pronounce certain sounds.
Yes.
Others look at how we build sentences.
Yes.
And some study how language varies from place to place.
That's true.
Just to name a few.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm really interested in is what people think and believe about language.
Oh, what people think and believe. Because that is so easy to determine. When you're a mind reader, I'm guessing.
And how these beliefs affect the way we use it.
Uh-huh.
All of us have deeply held beliefs about language.
Uh-huh. And you're here to, I don't know, correct and or police the ways in which we use language because you don't want people to do anything that doesn't make you happy. I know, I'm jumping ahead perhaps, but all the same.
Such as the belief that some languages are more beautiful than others.
Well, that is true. You know, the sounds of, say, I don't know, Spanish versus the sounds of German. I think there's an argument to be made. Your boy Pat, hello, Pat.
Or that some ways of using language are more correct.
Well, let's just dwell on that notion just for a moment, shall we? The notion that the ways of using language are some more correct. Okay. I'm basking in that notion.
And as most linguists know, these beliefs are often less about language itself and more about what we believe about the social world around us.
Okay.
So I'm a linguist.
Okay. Well, I did not hit restart. Okay. When he just did that. Okay. Lexi Mads did not somehow appear and push a nerve in my brain or something to hit the reset button.
And I'm also a non-binary person.
Uh-huh.
Which means I don't identify as a man or a woman.
Right. Okay.
I also identify as a member of a broader transgender community.
That's fine.
When I first started getting connected to other transgender people.
Well, wait, how can you be transgender if you're non-binary? Sorry. I mean, this is a talk about language and communication and understanding, but if you're non-binary, how can you be transgender? Am I off there? I do not claim at all, in any way, shape, or form, to be an expert on these subjects. I don't. I can't. I don't. No. But just on a definitionary basis, if definitionary is even a word, and if it isn't, I just made it up. But you know what I mean, which means my language was successful. Isn't that a contradiction? Isn't it?
It was like learning a whole new language.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of which, going to the bingo card, free space. And I'm non-binary, but I'm in the transgender community. Is that contradicts own point or argument, or is that word salad? I'll sit on one. I'll sit on that one for a bit. I'm circling free space just reflexively. I'll think about that one. Word salad says Gunfox. Word salad says Septus Wolf. Word salad is a all right. I give in to peer pressure. I'll jump off the bridge. Word salad is now circled. Okay, moving on.
And the linguist part of me was really excited.
Uh-huh.
There was a whole new way of talking about my relationship with myself and a new, clearer way to communicate that to other people.
That's debatable, given that you've already confused me, as well as several individuals in my audience, but okay.
And then I started having conversations with my friends and family about what it meant for me to be trans and non-binary, what those words meant to me specifically.
Me. Okay.
And why I would use both of them.
Why was it so important for everyone to know what they meant to you? I mean, it's just like, under what circumstances was it required of you to explain to your friends and your family the language that you use for yourself or your internal workings or whatever. I mean, I get it. Your family and your friends, they care about you. They want to know what's going on with you and so on. How did that conversation start, I wonder? I'd be really curious to know.
I also clarified the correct words they could use when referring to me.
Oh, the correct words. That some language is more correct. There's a belief system there, an ideology, you might say. This is how you are allowed to speak about me. Okay.
For some of them, this meant some very specific changes. For example, some of my friends who were used to talking about our friend group as ladies or girls switched to non-gendered terms like friends or pals.
I'm going to relay a personal story real quick, sort of as a baseline for how I think about this specific subject, so that anybody listening to this will have an idea of where I'm coming from on it. Several years ago, there was a person in my social group. I'm trying to be as vague here for no identification purposes. Isn't that ironic? We'll call him John for the sake of ease. And I think I relayed the same story in one of my old videos. So I came to know John amongst all my other friends at the time. And, he was someone who everybody else knew. And it was one of those things, someone you meet. And, I knew John as John for, I don't want to say at least 2 years. And then John kind of, took a hiatus from our social gatherings and things for a while. And then John came back several months later, and John looked decidedly different. And John was now Jane. And John asked that from now on, we call her Jane. And it was a transition for all of us. Those of us that didn't know John that well or only sort of partially aware of what was going on with John. So John became Jane. And over the course of a few weeks, maybe a month, whenever, we'd reference Jane, it took a while to sort of, acclimate ourselves. But eventually it was and that's why I'm stumbling over the notions in my own head right now, because it's actually an effort on my part to remember Jane as John, either visually or by name, because it just became a natural part of our everyday interactions. Because Jane was my friend. I cared about Jane. And, we made mistakes. We corrected ourselves here and there amongst ourselves for a little while. But eventually, that was just it. And that was fine. But here's the thing. When a mistake was made, such as it was, if we used the name John or something else, Jane didn't get all upset and freak out or anything. At worst, they might act, or she might have said, "Hey, can you just say Jane? I appreciate it." That kind of thing. That'd be it. And that was it. And like I said, it's an effort for me now to try to imagine this person as anyone other than Jane. That's basically how it works in my world. There has to be a certain amount of allowance for the fact that this is a change for someone. It's not a run-of-the-mill, everyday kind of transition of thought that you have to go through as a loved one or a friend or something else. But here's the other thing, too. If I have absolutely no idea who you are, if I am not a mind reader, and I'm not, I can't necessarily look at someone and know how they would prefer to be referred to as. And honestly, if somebody tries to scold me over saying the wrong word for someone that I don't know in reference to them when they're not around, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any stake in that relationship. I think that really is sort of the turnaround thing for the most part. I don't have a stake in that relationship if I'm being scolded about it by someone or with the correct language, that kind of thing. If someone's respectful and I care about them, they're my friend, or they're at least a friendly acquaintance or something else, it's no big deal for me. And mentally speaking, it's not that much of a leap for me to use the words they prefer, if for whatever reason I have an inclination to say the opposite of what they prefer based on how they present themselves. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of where I'm coming from, if that makes any sense. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Imagine being this desperate for attention. I mean, like I say, I can imagine Jane, and I can imagine what Jane was going through at the time and how Jane was trying to come to terms with what was going on inside of her. And over the years, I've learned more about what that can be like for someone in that situation. So I can respect that dilemma. I really can. But just like with so many other things, there's a line. And it's a line about attitude. It's a line about respect. It's a line about, giving the benefit of the doubt to someone else, and so on. It varies from person to person because every person is different. There is no one hard and fast rule for this, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, thank you again, Mr. Tickle Trunk. I don't mean Jane. I mean this non-binary person. No, I know who you meant. I was just still stuck on my memory. That's all. No, I know who you meant. No, Jane was not desperate for attention. Jane was attempting to come to terms with internal conflicts and all types of things that, as you do, as you can imagine. Our speaker here has already confused me by going, I'm non-binary, transgender. I mean, no.
And my parents can now tell people that their 3 kids are their son, their daughter, and their child.
Your parents can do this now. Oh, okay. You've allowed them to do this or something. It really is about attitude.
And all of them would have to switch the pronouns they used to refer to me.
Yeah, I guess they would have to. Yeah, they're required to. When you're not around, they have to refer to you in the way you'd prefer. Otherwise, the mystic chords of memory will reach out and hurt your feelings.
My correct pronouns are they and them.
No. Those are the ones that you prefer. They're not correct. Someone looking at you from it. Here's the thing. If you don't identify as either gender and you've succeeded in doing that, someone looking at you from across the room and someone saying, have you seen, etc. They look like this. And the person says, oh yeah, she's over there or he's over there. What do you care? How would you know? What happens if someone uses the wrong word to reference you when you're not around? What happens then?
Also known as the singular they. And these people love me.
Yeah, I imagine they do.
But many of them told me that some of these language changes were too hard, or too confusing, or too ungrammatical.
And so how did you respond to that? Do you love them back and love them regardless of what they happen to refer to you as because it's more comfortable for them?
For them to pick up.
Yeah.
These responses led me to the focus of my research. There are commonly held, yet harmful and incorrect beliefs about language.
There are harmful and incorrect beliefs about language. Okay, well, I am ready to be educated. What are harmful and incorrect beliefs about language as pertains to the pronouns you prefer people use to refer to you when you're not around?
That for the people who hold these beliefs, act as barriers to building and strengthening relationships with the transgender people in their families and communities.
Okay.
Even if they want to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm going to walk you through some of these beliefs.
Okay.
In the hope that we can embrace creativity in our language.
Oh, embrace creativity in our language. Yeah, there's a lot of creativity in language these days, like redefining words to fit specific things and completely outside the realm of the actual definition. So yeah, creativity in our language. You know, that sounds a lot like I'm here to teach you empathy. I mean, who wouldn't want to be empathetic? Why wouldn't you want to possess empathy? right? Okay. Because if you're not practicing language in the way our speaker says, you're obviously being stagnant in your language. You're being stubborn, old-fashioned, ironclad, stagnant. Let's be creative.
And allow language to bring us closer together.
By separating us into categories based on things you decide that you are and force and want other people to refer to you. Okay.
You might see your own beliefs reflected in these experiences in some way.
Okay.
But no matter what, I hope that I can share with you some linguistic insights that you can put into your back pocket and take with you out into the world.
What if I don't have pockets? How ableist of you. I know I have pockets, but what if? What if?
And I just want to be super clear.
Oh.
This can be fun.
I promise you, this can be fun. It doesn't have to be terrible. It doesn't have to be mind-bending. It doesn't have to feel like I'm being scolded or lectured to about how I am allowed to speak about people when they're not around. It can be fun, guys. It can be fun. Okay, let's go to the bingo card real quick. Marginalization. Not specifically yet, though it's heavily implied. Takes credit for something done, experienced by others in their demographic. Not specifically yet. Leaves out vital context. We'll probably get there more clearly than we are right now. I have a feeling we'll also get to a list shortly as well. Feminism, no. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. We'll get there, I'm pretty sure. If not directly, then more so once our speaker gets to the rules and beliefs and things. Anecdote that probably never happened. No, I believe that that family members and friends had difficulty adjusting. So, and that's the only anecdote so far. Contradicts own point or argument. We'll see. Diversity and inclusion, not yet. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, not yet. We're going to get into the slides here pretty quick. Plays victim. Yep, I am circling plays victim. Mind reading assumes motives. We're just getting into the meat of the presentation. So there's some that I'm like, yeah, sure, I could circle that, but I'm going to wait a second. Benevolent condescension. Oh, I'm sure we'll get there too. A list as well. I think the middle line going horizontal is probably going to be hit here pretty quick. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Systemic institutional, no. Privilege, no. Childhood or family anecdote. Yep, family anecdote. Talk to my family about what words to use. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Equity, no. Weightless example. We haven't really had any examples yet. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. No. I mean, every reference has been for a reason. And white supremacy, no. Okay, so far we have circled plays victim, word salad, free space, childhood or family anecdote, although I'm sure several are about to come down the pike, so here we go.
Learning about language brings me joy, and I hope that it can bring you more joy too.
I do too.
So, do you remember how I said that for some of my friends and family, learning how to use the singular they was really hard?
Yes.
And they said it was too confusing,
yes,
or too ungrammatical for them to pick up.
Yes.
Well, this brings us to the first belief about language that people have.
The first belief, well, that's a list. We're getting into a list, so I'm going to do that. So circling a list. Oh boy, we're getting moving now. Okay.
Grammar rules don't change.
Belief number one, grammar rules don't change. Well, we know that is false. Language has evolved mightily over the centuries. I don't know. Does anybody hold this belief per se? I mean, just internet speak, social media speak over the last 10 years alone has changed a lot of grammar rules, depending on what context you're using them in. So, okay, it's a belief. It's not true. It's observably not true, but okay.
As a linguist, I see this belief a lot out in the world.
Uh-huh.
A lot of language users believe that grammar just is what it is.
It is what it is right now. You wanting to alter grammar rules to make you feel good is not really the best argument for changing the rules of grammar. protecting your feelings, not a strong argument. And that's really what we're talking about here, isn't it? Protecting your feelings.
When it comes to language, what's grammatical is what matters. You can't change it. I want to tell you a story about English in the 1600s.
Oh, tell us about English in the 1600s. Was English in the 1600s different than it is today? Okay, admittedly, I went to college. I took a couple linguistics, or at least one linguistics class. I have an English major. So yes, in this instance, someone is telling me things that I already know. So I'm not being talked down to. They're trying to be informative. I get it. All right.
Back then, as you might imagine, people spoke differently than we do today.
No kidding.
In particular, they used thou when addressing a single other person, and you when addressing more than one other person.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what?
But for some complex historical reasons that we don't have time to get into today, so you'll just have to trust me as a linguist here. But people started using you to address someone, regardless of how many people they were talking to.
I don't know, linguistic efficiency, maybe. I don't know. But okay, sure. Yes. Yeah, language use has changed over time. You are correct. And
people had a lot to say about this.
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, grammar, the rules of grammar do change. They don't change on a dime. And we're not talking about grammar. We're talking about your chosen pronouns. Pronouns specific to you as an individual. We're not talking about the rules of grammar. We're talking about your rules for yourself and for everyone around you. You're missing, or we're not even missing. You're avoiding the actual issue here. You're trying to tell us that this is all some kind of academic exercise when it's not. It is a you want people to do what makes you feel comfortable exercise. Trying to cloak it in something that it's not isn't going to work here. At least not on me. Don't try to deflect the real issue here. Your sense of self-esteem, your self-comfort. Okay, that is the issue here. Not the rules of grammar, not linguistics. Your feelings.
Take a look at what this guy Thomas Elwood had to say.
Okay.
He wrote, "The corrupt and unsound form of speaking in the plural number to a single person, you to one instead of thou, contrary to the pure, plain, and single language of truth."
Again, I'm not going to argue with you that grammar has changed, that the word usage and language has changed over time. You're pushing at an open door on that one. But then that is not the issue at hand.
Thou to one and you to more than one. And he goes on. Needless to say, this change in pronouns was a big deal in the 1600s. But actually, if you followed the debates about the singular they at all, these arguments might sound familiar to you. They're not that far off from the bickering we hear about the so-called grammaticality of pronouns used to talk about trans and non-binary people.
How do I know someone is non-binary? How do I know that? How do I look upon someone and just know that they are or consider themselves to be non-binary? I mean, a transgender person, a person who is actually transgender, has in some way, shape, or form made an attempt to visibly transition from one gender to the other. That's what transgender is. It's right there in the word. How do I know what a non-binary person looks like? Or alternately, if a transgender person has done absolutely nothing to present themselves as the opposing gender, how am I supposed to know? You know, and I'm not trying to be adversarial for the sake of being adversarial, but just on a practical level, on a societal level, how am I supposed to know these things in common everyday interaction? How can I be reasonably expected to behave in the way that I am being charged with here just out of the blue, without knowing the person as an individual in some way, shape, or form? And then that person actually at least holding some modicum of respect from me that I care what their feelings are on the matter.
One of the most common complaints about the singular they is that if they is used to refer to people in the plural, it can't also be used to talk about people in the singular, which is exactly what they said about thou and you.
Uh-huh. How about he or she? Are those incorrect to be used when referring to you? I mean, if I mix them up from time to time, is that not reflective of your non-binary straddling the gender binary status?
But as we have seen, pronouns have changed.
Yes.
Our grammar rules do change.
Yes.
And for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, but not because you want the world to revolve around you. Although that is what you're attempting to do.
And we're living through one of these shifts right now.
Says you. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. Pronouns are literally for the convenience of others as a shorthand in conversation. I can't believe this person never learned that as a linguist. I've always been fascinated by people complaining about things that, for the most part, not always, not every situation, but for the most part, they can never know how I am referring to them when they are not around. And I'm saying they and them there because, am I talking about a male or a female? No, just people in general. Someone does not know what I'm saying when they're not there for me to say it. Somehow that is doing them harm or paying them a disrespect. Again, if it's somebody that I know, if it's someone that I'm used to seeing and I have an idea about them, I call Jane a she because she wants to be known as a she. She went to a lot of effort to become Jane, and I respect that. I can understand that. You know, reshaping my entire linguistic world to satisfy the feelings of this person. No.
All living languages will continue to change. And the Thomas Elwoods of the world will eventually have to get with the program.
Oh, right. So all of us are Thomas Elwoods if we're not doing what you tell us to. Okay.
Because hundreds of years later, it's considered right to use you when addressing another person.
Yeah, but if I say thou, nobody's going to be offended by it. You know, if I go on Twitter and I'm just being silly and I say, thou art as lovely as a rose on a summer's day, no one's going to be offended by that. No one's going to say, oh, how dare you use the wrong pronoun? You're turning it into, you said incorrect. It is not incorrect to use thou. It is archaic. It's not incorrect. It is understood. And there's no offense taken for having used it most times. But okay.
Not just allowable, but right.
Right. Okay, so it is a moral question here. It's not about correct usage, mechanically speaking, or to be understood, but it is now a moral question. Is it right to use that particular pronoun? Got it.
The second belief about language that people have is that dictionaries provide official, unchanging definitions for words.
Dictionaries provide the most common and most widely understood definition for a word. It's true. And changes to those definitions should come about only under the most extreme circumstances or shifts in understanding about a term or word or something else. Okay. Now, it seems as though, I could be wrong, it seems as though, even by the title of this presentation, our speaker wants to undefine or make less static the meaning of words. A linguist wants to make the use of language amorphous. I don't know if that's necessarily the healthiest way to go about it. How do you communicate if there's not a general mutual understanding of what things mean?
When you were in school, did you ever start an essay with a sentence like, "The dictionary defines history as," well, if you did, which dictionary were you talking about?
Merriam-Webster. I think that was the one they had in school. Oh, sorry, I'm being literal there. I'm answering a question as though she were literally asking it. Yeah, okay.
Was it the Oxford English Dictionary?
No, that's not Oxford English Dictionary. No. Never rely on the British for anything, because this is America.
Was it Merriam-Webster?
That's right, Merriam-Webster.
Was it Urban Dictionary?
No, because that didn't exist when I was in school, because I'm old.
Did you even have a particular dictionary in mind?
Yes.
Which one of these is the dictionary?
Please do not tell me that you're making a point out of different publications. If you want to start a religious war, ask which is the Bible and see what happens.
Dictionaries are often thought of as the authority on language.
More so than your average bear, yes.
But dictionaries, in fact, are changing all the time.
Yeah, at the reflex and reaction to social pressures for nonsense.
And here's where our minds are really blown.
Okay.
Dictionaries don't provide a single definition for words. Dictionaries are living documents that track how some people are using language.
And all of this has what to do with protecting your feelings?
Language doesn't originate in dictionaries. Language originates with people. And dictionaries are the documents that chronicle that language use.
Yes, and the general understanding of words, their definitions and meanings and so on. Are you sure you're a linguist? Because you sure sound like somebody who might have a degree in linguistics, but is trying to dismantle the oppressive systems of language. It sounds like. Sounds like.
Here's one example.
Okay.
We currently use the word awful to talk about something that is bad or gross.
Yes. Okay. And for those of you listening at home, the word and definition for awful is up on the screen. Awful, adjective, not pleasant or desirable, disagreeable, objectionable, bad. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. View lost, pile luck. Away, tunnel, back the garden. Well, blue donkey microphone box. I suppose you could have a microphone that's shaped like a blue donkey and it's in a box. So, awful. All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's try to think here. What are some other uses of awful in our everyday parlance? That's awful good, right? If I say something is awfully good, how can something be awfully good? I mean, if awful is not pleasant or desirable, how can something be awfully good? And when I say that's awfully good, or they're awfully good at dancing, I'm not saying they're terrible at dancing, or even that they're lesser than good at dancing. I'm saying they're really good at dancing. So awful, depending on the context, could also be an enhancement of a good thing. But it depends on context. Okay.
But before the 19th century, awful meant just the opposite. People used awful to talk about something that was deserving of respect or full of awe.
Ah, so I was right. I was using an archaic version of the definition of that word. And both are correct in the proper context. Thank you, Redneck Ram. Okay, Scribe. I'm listening from the beginning and I'm at work, so I can't drink. But this one is enough to turn a non-drinker into a drinker. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. One word at a time. Thank you, Redneck. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Dictionary, a book or electronic resource that lists the words of a language and gives their meaning or gives the equivalent words in a different language, often also providing information. Did you just give me the dictionary definition of dictionary, Chicago Mike? Don't you know that's not what that necessarily means? Dictionary from the 1700s actually meant the place where dicks are raised from birth. It's like a nursery, but it's a dictionary. And if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. It's awfully big. Come on, play.
And in the mid-1900s, awesome was the word that took up these positive meanings.
Yeah.
And awful switched to the negative one we have today.
Except that if I say something is awfully good, it's still understood to be an enhancement of a good thing. It didn't disappear. It didn't break the rules if I'm using it now. Just like thou. Thank you, Chicago Mike. I did. How dare you?
And dictionaries over time reflected that. This is just one example of how definitions and meanings have changed over time.
That has nothing to... Okay, you know what? I'm circling weightless example. Meanings, you're not arguing about meanings. You're not arguing about the redefinition of words. You're arguing about what pronoun to be used for you and about you. A pronoun that has been in use in one way, shape, or form for quite some time to refer to a neutral party or even to someone who has a gender, but they're not making a statement about that person's gender. It just, no. The singular they is not some new thing, and it has nothing to do with redefining things. It has everything to do with you wanting to be, I don't know, given all the attention and respect you think you deserve by people who don't know you, speaking about you when you're not around. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Cross haggle barrels. All job fruit appalled. Yes. Okay. There's a song. If you don't know, there's a song out there. I can't pronounce it to save my life because it's not meant to be pronounced because it's nonsense. Back in the 70s, I think it was a Spanish singer. Sorry, no, an Italian singer. That's what it was, I think. He wrote a song that was literal nonsense. Like all the lyrics are absolute nonsense, but it's got a really catchy tune, and it almost sounds like it could be kind of a language. And I think the joke was he wanted to see if Italians would get happy about any song that sounded vaguely American, even if it was complete balderdash. And it was a pretty popular song. Again, I can't pronounce the title because it's nonsense. But if you look up something like on YouTube, song that sounds like English or whatever, you'll find it. You'll know it when you hear it too.
And to keep up with it, how dictionaries are updated all the time.
Yeah.
So I hope you're starting to feel a little more comfortable with the idea of changing language.
It's not changing language. Using the singular they is not a change in language. It is used already. It was used before the current era of transgender ascendance, let's say, for lack of a better word, since we're talking about words. You want it to be used about you. That's it. That's what this entire talk is about. You want everyone to refer to you as they, them, their. That's it. That's all this is. This isn't a language lesson. This isn't about the evolution of words. This is you wanting everybody to refer to you the way you want to be referred to. You.
But of course, I'm not just talking about language in general. I'm talking about language as it is impactful for trans people.
Except let's go deeper than that. You're talking about language that's impactful for you. The non-binary person who counts themselves amongst transgender people, because I don't know. Yes, Adabisi got it. Adriano Celentano, if I say that name right, I probably screwed that up. Peace and cold and sanctum and so. All right. I know I mispronounced that as well. But yeah, if you find that song, listen to that. It's a wonderful song. It's an amazing song. It holds up really well, and it is absolute gibberish.
And pronouns are only one part of language.
Yes.
And they're only one part of language that's important for trans people. Also important are the identity terms that trans people use to talk about ourselves.
Talk about ourselves. Okay.
Such as trans man, trans woman, non-binary, or genderqueer.
Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Jump Art Red Happy Elephant Twist. Is that what happens when M. Night Shyamalan goes to the circus? What an elephant twist. Okay, well, I can't obviously speak for anyone else, but I can speak for Jane in the sense that we went through this with Jane. Jane just wanted to be known as Jane and she. That's it. Jane is a she. Jane is a girl. The whole idea of transitioning from John to Jane was to be female. For all functional purposes, let's say, in society, to be female. Not to be referred to as a trans woman, but to be Jane, her, the girl. That was the whole point. That was the conflict going on inside of Jane that was trying to be settled by a lot of these things. Again, I can't speak for everybody. I don't know how it works for every individual person. Whatever you want to do, you do you. It's fine. I don't really care. Your self-esteem is not my problem. If I'm your friend, if I care about you, obviously I care about your self-esteem. But ultimately, it's up to you. And especially if I have no idea who you are and I have no interaction with you, I don't know what to tell you. Your self-esteem is not my problem. How you want to refer to yourself is your business, not mine. How you want to be referred to, circumstantial to whether or not I have any care to or have any need to. Trying to police everyone to act in the way that you prefer as right, good luck.
And some of these words have been documented in dictionaries for decades now. And others are still being added year after year. And that's because dictionaries are working to keep up with us.
And I can say whatever I like, however I like, in a society of free expression, which I know is always in danger, as our speaker is demonstrating, but all the same.
The people who are using language creatively.
Okay, so I'm not being creative. If I do not abide by the rules you have set down, I'm not using language creatively. It's an interesting distinction. It really, really reminds me of the argumentation that says, I'm here to teach empathy, or I'm here to encourage people to become more empathetic, or something like that. It becomes a question of your ability as a human being, the quality of your thinking, or the morality of your thinking.
So at this point, you might be thinking, but Archie, it seems like every trans person has a different word they want me to use for them.
In my line of experience, no. Generally speaking, actually, I'm trying to think of a person that I've known of, let's say, that hasn't just wanted me to refer to them, if it ever became an issue, by the pronouns for the gender that they transitioned to, because that was the point of transitioning to that gender. Okay.
There are so many opportunities for me to mess up or to look ignorant or to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah, I don't really concern myself with that so much unless, again, you're somebody that I personally know and personally care about, but okay.
What is something I can memorize and reliably employ when talking to the trans people in my life?
Oh, here we go. We're going to get a rule. We're going to get a rule for how to talk to... Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to circle mind reading assumes motives because our speaker here is taking some liberties with how everybody else thinks about things and so on and so forth. I'm looking at that benevolent condescension. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. Up the 3 couch, no, but delightfully gubbins. Oh, I so want to circle benevolent condescension. I'm gonna let it go a minute. Let it go a minute.
Well, that brings us to the third belief about language that people have. You can't just make up words.
Well, that's absolutely not true. I mean, they don't necessarily end up into common parlance or in dictionaries, like confuzzled. A combination of confused and puzzled. I use that quite a bit, and I think I might have infected Satsu with that word. I've heard him use it a few times as well. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but there you go. Yeah. You can make up words. What does making up words have to do with you wanting to be called they, them, their? Those words weren't already... I mean, all words are made up. Here's the thing. You don't get to make up words. Well, all words are made up. I wonder if our speaker will have that point now. I wonder if they'll say, but all words are made up.
Folks, people do this all the time. Here's one of my favorite examples. The official term for your mother's mother or your father's mother is grandmother.
Yeah, okay.
I recently polled my friends and asked them what they call their grandmothers.
Okay. Terms of endearment, nicknames, and so on. Yes, those are made up words. You're right. They're familial, like papa or pop or gamma and so on and so forth. Yes. Mm-hmm.
We don't get frustrated if your friend's grandma goes by Mima and yours goes by Gigi.
Not frustrated, but maybe not exactly understanding. If I don't have any idea what Gigi means to this person, then I have no idea what they're referring to. That takes a little bit of explanation. And you know what they'll probably say? Oh, Gigi is what I call my grandma. That's usually how those conversations proceed. Oh, thank you, Chatmort. How dare you invoke Mima or push your language policing? Well, geez, Chatmort, don't get so angry. Or are you hangry? Or are you furious? Or, I don't know, a bunch of other words.
Just make rather short work of it and memorize it and move on, getting to know her.
Uh-huh.
In fact, we might even celebrate her by gifting her with a sweatshirt or an embroidered pillow that celebrates the name she has chosen for herself.
Uh-huh. And what does this have to do with your personal feelings being hurt by people not referring you in the way that you prefer when you're not around?
And just like your Nana and your grandma.
Okay, you know what? I'm circling benevolent condescension. I can't tell you how often over the course of this so far, we're not even done yet, that I've felt talked down to. This holier than thou thing going on, this attitude. Doing me a favor and so on and so forth by correcting what is believed to be in my mind about how things work and so on. So you know what that means, guys.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Yes, our first bingo. Word salad, mind reading, free space, benevolent condescension, and a list. 3 minutes left. Exactly 3 minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Trans people have every right to choose their own identifying language.
Yes, they have every right to choose it. Is it a reasonable expectation that everyone they ever encounter will elect to use it in the absence of their presence? What happens if not? How do you enforce the converse of that? How would you penalize someone for not using the words you prefer they use about you when you're not around? Do tell.
The process of determining self-identifying language is crucial for trans people. In my research, many trans people have shared that finding new vocabulary was an important part of understanding their own identities.
Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. See chat, I changed all the meanings of those words we had agreed on already as a society, but Scribe still knew exactly what I was talking about. Okay, now that assumes motives in his mind reading right there. So in your personal bingo card, you get a circle. Obviously, everyone is different. Obviously so. Again, I am struggling to think of a transgender person, at least a transgender person that I was aware as being transgender in my life to this point, who ultimately did not want to be referred to by the gender to which they transferred to or transitioned to. That was the entire point of what they did, to make themselves feel better about how they felt about themselves. And also, again, I know there are people out there that think differently, but I'm in my own experience, and my lived experience is important. Referring to or thinking of that person as a trans person goes against the whole point. It is irrelevant. They are who they are. They are who they present themselves to be, and I have no problem referring to them in the way that seems most natural. Because it's irrelevant. Once they've gone through that process, once they've made that effort to try to make themselves feel better about themselves, done some real, ridiculously hard work to come to terms with the conflict inside of themselves, that's just who they are. And trying to think of themselves as some third category of human being or something, just, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I understand the reality of the situation, but after that point, it's irrelevant. It is immaterial to me. But, you know, there you go. Thank you, Chicago Mike. I am triggered. I refer to my grandmother as abuela based on my Cuban heritage. Well, how dare you use something other than grandma? No, I don't know. I'm trying to think, what did I just called my grandma. That was it. We didn't have any, some of my cousins call her Mimi. My sister and I never caught on to using any other terminology than grandma and grandpa. But other families have different traditions and whatever. So, okay. I still understand what you mean. But here, I wouldn't know what you mean if I didn't know that Mimi was referring to grandma. Anyway.
As one person I interviewed put it, language is one of the most important personal things, because using different words to describe myself and then finding something that feels good, feels right, is a very introspective and important process. With that process, you can piece together, with the language that you find out works best for you, who am I?
Usually that's your name. It's not your pronouns inherently, it's your name. And your name can say a lot depending on the context. Using different words to describe myself. Okay, adjectives are one thing, but your name is your identity. You know, in all common usage, I am Scribe. There's some very specific things about Scribe that make Scribe Scribe. There are plenty of other people out there who have a moniker online with the word scribe in it, or maybe even they call themselves scribe, but they are a different scribe. I am this scribe. My words, behavior, actions, activities best describe the kind of person I am to anyone that'll listen. I don't do a lot of work to try to define myself through language, introspection, action, decision, so on. Anyway, I'm getting philosophical here, and I'm an English major.
Sometimes the words that feel good are already out there. For me, the words trans and non-binary just feel right.
That is all right for you. Speak for yourself, just like you just did. That is your right, and it is also your problem.
But sometimes the common lexicon doesn't get hold the words that a person needs to feel properly understood.
Feel properly understood.
And it's necessary and exciting to get to create and redefine words that better reflect our experience of gender.
How can you expect all of society to conform to your personalized set of words that denote just you all the time? If there is no standard understanding of this word or that word, can you really get upset with someone if they use the word in a way that you don't approve of? Do you make any allowance for the fact that, I hate to tell you, you, linguistically, are a minority? I don't know what to tell you. You're setting special rules for everyone else that apply only to you, and also making grand statements about entire demographics whom you do not speak for. But anyway.
So, this is a very long answer, but yes, I'm absolutely going to give you a magic word.
A magic word? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Maybe?
Something really easy you can memorize.
Oh, okay. Magic word. What does it do? Like when I say it, what happens? How does reality reshape itself around me if I say this word? What makes it magic?
And I want you to think of this word as the biggest piece of advice I could give you.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm ready. What is the biggest piece of advice? Magic word?
If you don't know what words to use for the trans people in your life.
Oh, okay. If I've absolutely no idea how to refer to people in my life who are in my life and that I know personally, and I have some idea of how they live their lives, whether I know that they're trans or not or whatever. Okay, what is the magic word I can take to all of my trans friends that will make everything better for how incorrect I've been using language around and about them? Do tell.
Ask.
That's the magic word? Okay. Ask. And they will look at me with eyes wide and bewildered. What? Ask. That's the magic word. Ask what? Ask. Ask what? You're transgender. Ask. Ask you what? Okay.
I might be a linguist.
That is a true statement right now. You might be a linguist. Even if you happen to have a degree, I think I'm on the fence right now.
And a trans person.
You said you were non-binary. If you are non-binary, you have not transitioned into anything. You too are sitting on the fence. unless you're in a perpetual state of transition, which means you're never really transitioning, you're not a trans person. Or did you redefine those words as well? Does non-binary now also mean transgender?
And a linguist who works with trans people.
And a linguist who works with trans... Why? What? Okay.
But I'm no substitute for the actual trans people in your life.
You're right, because you're you and they are them. And everybody's different. And my relationship with them is absolutely miles and miles and miles apart from any relationship I have with you. So I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about crafting my words to make you feel better about yourself. That's a you problem.
When it comes to what words to use for them.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to hurt someone's feelings by not asking or assuming than you are by asking.
I am not going to walk around on eggshells my entire life on the off chance that one errant word is going to hurt someone's feelings whose mind I cannot read and whose personal struggles I cannot intuit. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to interrogate everybody I come across on the off chance that they happen to feel a particular way about themselves that is not readily evident to me on the surface. Because I'm a simple creature like that. I really am. You know, I take people as they come to me. And as I get to know them, maybe things change, maybe they don't. I don't know. But this is not going to be how I live my life. Being scared of talking to people and being scared of someone becoming offended on their own volition. Thank you, Jake Tungseth. I'm not clear. What do they do for a living? I believe, if I'm believing, our speaker is a linguist. I'm not quite sure how much being a linguist pays, unless you're like translating alien languages or something, as I've seen in the movies, but oh.
And the words that a person uses might change. So just commit to asking and learning.
If you're non-binary, like, you've decided for whatever reason that you just are one or the other, you can change your pronouns anytime you want, right? I mean, well, hell, any of us could change our pronouns anytime we want. How are we supposed to know? Do I have to ask you every time I encounter you what words I should use to refer to you when you're not around today? I mean, once you've set them, are they set in stone? So I don't get, caught flat-footed again? Oh, flat-footed. Boy, now there's an ableist phrase, people with flat feet. Or I'm referring to police officers. Oh my God, I just don't know what words to use anymore. Context.
Language is a powerful tool for explaining and claiming our own identities and for building relationships that affirm and support us.
Also for trying to control the masses or to blame and shame people for thinking incorrectly.
But language is just that, a tool. Language works for us, not the other way around.
Okay.
All of us, transgender and cisgender, can use language to understand ourselves and to respect those around us.
Wow, you don't say.
We're not bound by what words have meant before, what order they might have come in, or what rules we have been taught.
Really? We're not? At all? Okay. Well then, if there are no rules, you're a she.
We can consider the beliefs that we might have had about how language works and recognize that language will continue to change.
And what does that have to do with you Being called what you want to be called.
And we can creatively use language to build the identities and relationships that bring us joy.
No. You want us to use language to build the identity that brings you joy. It's right behind you. It's all about you. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Sticks and stones. Why do SJWs worry about words? Well.
And that's not just allowable. It's right. Believe me.
Listen and believe. It's not just allowable. It's right. Well, now we're talking about a moral argument there. But anyway, let's go to the bingo card. Well, we already have one bingo. Could we get to another one? I don't know. Let's go over the card one more time. Marginalize, marginalization. If I was being very generous, you could make the argument that talking about transgender, non-binary are marginalized groups. They're often referred to as such. Did she use the words in this specifically? No. Am I willing to circle it? Maybe. Sit on that one for a second. Takes credit for something done, experienced by others in their demographic. Well, it doesn't take credit for so much as represents themselves as, well, representative of their demographic. I really should either revise or change that square. Leaves out vital context. I mean, she specifically left out the context of the history behind the thou and you thing, but she mentioned it offhand because obviously for time constraints, so I can't necessarily fault her for that. So, no. If somebody else has an example, by all means. Feminism, no. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Came really close. Talked about the difficulty people had in using the word. Didn't talk about intent to, well, no, it did talk about harmful. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to circle that one. There was enough implied in the course of things, unconscious bias and so on. Okay. And I'm really only circling that because I know white supremacy doesn't come up at all, and so I'm comfortable circling that because it doesn't give us a bingo right away. Anecdote that probably never happened. I believed all the anecdotes given, which were only about 2, I think. Contradicts own point or argument. Well, again, the argument was about her sensation of feeling good about being referred to when she wasn't around, but she made the whole thing about rules of language evolving when it had nothing to do with what the main concern was. It wasn't about language evolving. She wanted language to be used, specific words to be used, grammatically correct in reference to her. So I'm circling contradicts own point or argument. Diversity and inclusion, never brought up. I never heard diversity, never heard the word inclusion. Nope. Not that I know of. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. No, nothing in there. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Systemic, institutional. I mean, unless you talk about systems of language or something, but maybe. Privilege, no. Self-vilification, no. Equity. I don't know. Equality of outcome kind of thing. Yeah, well, might need an argument for that one. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. Now, the whole talk was about that, so there's a reason. White supremacy, no. Okay, so let me update the board one more time here. All right, so if there's something up there that you think needs to be circled that I haven't, you have a specific example or a good argument, please present it now. If you had done previously, I apologize. I could scroll up, but I'd be searching, so I'll go up a little bit. Mr. Tickle Trunk, marginalized, no. She didn't put them in a place of the victim, just that language needs to be adjusted to fit the narrative. That's true. Keeverdam, how about changing it to collectivizes own demographic? Oh. Collectivizes own demographic. Oh. Okay. I will make a note of that. Okay, just so I don't forget that one. Not bad, Keeverdam. Mike Savage, thou and thee changed to you and ye as English evolved. Let's see. But if I use thou and thee in a sentence, I'm going to sound archaic, but people will know what I'm talking about. And I'll use it in the grammatically correct way for the era. Mr. Tickletron, contradiction, yes, there is correct language and language changes. Those are opposites. Yep. Lexi Mad, she didn't talk about her advanced degree in Tumblr. I think that would be vital context as to why we were forced to listen to this crap and pretend it's normal. Nobody forced you. I just put the link out there. You clicked on it. Data Wasteland, is the word axe the non-gendered version of ask? Oh, nice. Axe. Let me ask you a question. Laughter is deadly. Scribelight, I really don't like the anecdote that probably didn't happen. Feels like mind reading. Well, so anecdote that probably never happened. That's so the classic example of that is, yesterday my 5-year-old walked in and said, "Isn't it wonderful that we now have a vice president who's a girl?" And we cried and everyone clapped. That kind of self-serving, too perfect for reality kind of anecdote that serves their argument. That's the kind of anecdote that probably never happened. It's hard to encapsulate that notion in one square's worth of letters and words. That's kind of the standard ish you're looking for. So mind reading assumes motives is a act performed by our speaker where they assume the motives of whatever the subject is, or they look at the audience and they know the conclusion of what they're coming to without allowing for possibilities of anything else. So there are two different things. Assassin the Great Scribe, what happens when the alphabet people successfully lobby for gendered hate speech and weaponize it to get rich quick? I don't know. Keeverdam, you kidnapped Little Butt? I did what? Who did what? Oh, are you talking about the 5-year-old? No. God, Little Butt is she 5 yet? God, if she is, time passes. I forget. Spittlebuggy, is she a chick wanting a penis and waiting to keep her breasts, or is she just... I have no idea. I don't know. By every indication from the information she gave about her childhood, she was born a girl because they had to change from saying, ladies to pals. So, Keeverdam, Scribelight, yes, I was joking. Yes, she's 5 now. Is she? Gosh, I keep forgetting. Time is such a fluid thing, especially when you're locked down in your apartment all the time. Lexi Mads, wow, okay, I've officially quit the English language, it seems. I guess. Old Guy Gamer, since I'm going through major dental work to change language for... Oh, sorry. And my brain jumped down to the next comment because chat jumped. Since I'm going through major dental work, does that mean I'm transdental? Only if you're getting teeth from another animal. Or you're getting, replacement teeth from another person. Advocates Diablo, she talked about ensuring transgender people feel safe, secure, and respected in language. That sounds like inclusion to me. Oh. Yep, you know what? I'll give that to you. I'll give it to you. All right. Yep, that is the sentiment is there if the word itself was not used. I'll give you that. All right. But unless there's another really good argument, I'm going to leave the card there. We did hit a bingo, though. Another couple minutes here if you guys have any other comments. Just a show note. I may be doing and I mentioned this earlier, but for those of you that came in late, next week sometime, if schedules align, I'll hopefully be doing another duo TEDXcellence with Blind Press. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to follow me on Twitter for those notifications when they happen. Well, I don't see any new arguments for squares to be circled. I'll give another second here in case I'm waiting for somebody to type out a novel to me or something else. But other than that, yeah, and I'm going to consider changing that square that Keeverdam suggested and collectivize his own demographic in some fashion. That does make it better. Jose Chuck, is it Chacon? I hope I'm saying that correctly. Circle buzzword ask. Oh, yeah. Mr. Tickle Trunk, thank you. Tumble chair for donkey glass fork, right, Scribe? I'm not agreeing to anything you say right now because I don't know what I'm actually agreeing to. You know what? Since it does no harm and it doesn't get us to a bingo, and I like the cut of your jib, Jose. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I will circle that one just for you. But with that, guys, I'm going to call it done. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this one. It would have been even more of a slog without you. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for your participation and argumentation. I really appreciate it. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I don't know how much more I can say thank you, but thank you. Gracias. Bien. Any other Danke. Danke Shane, darling, Danke Shane. Thank you for all the joy you bring. I recall Central Park in fall, how you tore your dress. What a mess. Danke Shane. Okay, I put my own quarter in the jukebox there. But if you'd like to hear more from me or the Ranting Monkey or Satsu 2 Cents, you can find all three of us tonight on the Ranting Monkeys channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for the Lords of the Night, where we will talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, I hope you all have a good rest of your Saturday. I hope you had an excellent Thanksgiving. I hope you are all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.